we try to move as fast as the vendors do with our knowledge base, and which is unfortunate because, a lot of us have certifications that are a decade old and not relevant anymore because, technology moves so quickly. So we're constantly recertifying and relearning new technologies as they come out, and also trying to look forward into the future to see what is coming down the pipe and what is next and what do we need to get ahead of so that we can best provide those new technologies to the college.
Welcome to Tech Talk with WSU Tech, where we dive into all things WSU Tech and highlight the voices within our college community. I'm Dr. Sheree Utash, and today we have the honor of chatting with James Austin. Thank you for being here. We always like to kick off this by having you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what your role is, and how the work that you do aligns with the mission of WSU Tech. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. I'm James Austin. I'm the Director of Network and Infrastructure at WSU Tech. My team ensures the digital backbone of the colleges stays healthy and functioning every day. We support the mission by keeping the network alive, the server infrastructure, wired, wireless, all the end user devices, printers, computers, all the amazing design labs that we have at the college, and making it so that it operates as seamlessly as possible, so the faculty can deliver their content and the students can learn and without being interrupted. So
you and your team are an incredible infrastructure support and essential to the success of the college. None of us could do what we do without the support that we get from you and the structures that you have in place, because without a network, we can't work. So I want you to talk a little bit about what does networking and the infrastructure support that you do look like on a day-to-day basis. I think you guys are unsung heroes, and I want everybody to know the work that you do.
So our ecosystem, I like to call it, is extremely complex. The end users see the devices in the classroom. They see the printer. They see email flowing. The back-end infrastructure, the data center, the power supplies for all the servers, the storage, the stacks of hard drives that have to be spinning and running every day for that data to flow is crucial to our environment staying alive. So it's constant monitoring, it's maintenance, it's replacement, it's life cycle management of all these pieces of equipment. You'd love to think if you spend $1 million on a server, it lasts you for half a lifetime. But
I would love to think that.
Yeah,
that is not true.
That is not true. Unfortunately, it feels like their life cycle is shorter than I would ever want it to be. It's approximately 5 years. We have to repurchase these things all the time, and so it's constant management and maintenance of those items. My team has a huge skill set, and there's some very unique focus on that skill set to be able to monitor and maintain these systems. Every vendor has its own flavor. It's a little bit unique between the servers and the switches and all the things. We have some unique requirements as well with some of the design labs, some of the machining labs. They all have very, very challenging software interfaces that they all have to play together in the same sandbox. And we get the joy of keeping those things harmonious and making them work the way they're supposed to.
So there's a lot of balancing and security that you do. And does a day go by that somebody doesn't ask you for something new to plug into the system?
Absolutely, not a single day.
Okay, I just kind of thought that was the case. Mm-hmm. But so how do you go about balancing? I mean, for real, the convenience and the security for the campus community.
So those two items absolutely pull in opposite directions.
Yes, they do. So, convenience and security.
Yes, absolutely.
Are kind of diametrically opposed.
I think at WSU Tech, we've provided a very thoughtful balance between those two things. The most important thing that we do currently is a multi-factor or two-factor authentication through products like Duo or Microsoft Authenticator. That gives us the ability to verify identity of a user trying to reach college resources, whether it be a computer or online Microsoft Azure email systems, those kinds of things. But that two-factor authentication gives us at least some semblance of of identity management and proactive threat hunting. Basically, we have a team of folks over at WSU, the InfoSec team. They do a wonderful job of watching the attempted logons and the two-factor authentication logons to those systems, and so we can be more proactive than we have been historically to see bad actors in the attempt, and but also anytime an instructor or a student needs to get to a piece of software or any other resource on the network, there's numerous. If they have their two-factor authentication method set up, they click through, and it's pretty quick and painless. Everybody uses it on a daily basis, multiple times, and they get to what they need, and we keep the process flowing. So
let's talk a little bit about the interaction because that we have with WSU and their team, and in your words, how does that work? How important has that been in the continued maturation of the work that you're doing and the size and the scale that the college has grown?
The college has grown exponentially since I started here in 2016, and the WSU team is instrumental in, especially the InfoSec side. They have a large team of folks who can focus their efforts and energy in a particular direction. They have a little bit more of a siloed team with those players having that specialized attention. My team is relatively small based in comparison to the number of students and staff that we support, and so that we generalize our experiences across the board pretty heavily. And so we dabble a little bit of everything on my team. Everybody does a little bit of each thing, whereas the teams over at WSU, they can focus very clearly on their single mission, and we love leveraging their expertise in that regard.
And that's been really helpful to the growth, I think, and to the security. You mentioned 2016, and I'm thinking back to 2016. I have no idea, but I would be so fascinated to know how many computers we had in 2016 or how many devices you're supporting now compared to 2016, and how many miles of fiber that we have and wireless points that we have today versus that. I have no idea what that is, but it's got to be tremendous.
Yeah, it's an exponential factor. I mean, we could count, the number of machines and staff we supported years ago was just a fraction of what we're managing now. Especially post-COVID, we've essentially doubled the number of machines we support. Because there's many folks who, they operate remotely. They travel a lot, so they may have a device at home. They might have a device at their desk. Many folks have a laptop that they carry with them
Like the
now.
night that I talked to you from wherever I was at 11 o'clock at night and got you out of bed, I think because I had to have something for the next morning and I couldn't get it to work.
Yep.
And you saw me through it, but it took us a while. But it's incredible. Yesterday, when we were looking, when I was looking at all the things that were happening at the new hack, and that's just a little microcosm of the work that you do. These are little microcosms of the big, big scale and scope that you have. So for your team, what does success look like in a day?
So in a perfect world, our team and our technology fades quietly into the background. Staff and students don't have to worry about the display in the classroom turning on, the projector turning on, or the Wi-Fi dropping in the middle of an important test, if they're, using it in the classroom. In a perfect world, everything it turns on, it works, it's smooth, it doesn't pop up any kind of crazy messages. You log into your systems, you get to your data, and life just flows. And then it also allows us to keep an eye on systems from the background and be able to be proactive and support the users and faculty and employees to provide them everything that they need. Sometimes they don't necessarily know what they need; they just know where they need to get to, but not how to get there. And so it's pretty amazing to be able to bring them that knowledge and share with them, all the possibilities. The rate that technology moves. I mean, we get to be on the bleeding edge of it very often, and sometimes representing things that they have never thought about before. And it's
how do you and your team keep up with professional development and keep up on all the latest and the greatest? Because you're right, it's changing this fast.
Every single day is a classroom for us. Every time we dig into a new system, every vendor has their own unique specialties, and so my team is constantly in a professional development state. We're always learning, we're always moving. Technology becomes obsoleted very quickly, and then they come out with new technology. We try to move as fast as the vendors do with our knowledge base, and which is unfortunate because a lot of us have certifications that are a decade old and not relevant anymore because technology moves so quickly. So we're constantly recertifying and relearning new technologies as they come out, and also trying to look forward into the future to see what is coming down the pipe and what is next and what do we need to get ahead of so that we can best provide those new technologies to the college.
So I don't know whether everybody really realizes that we have an IT governance committee. So why don't you just talk just a little bit about the function of that and why we have that?
So the importance of that committee is because of the various different ways to solve any given problem. Everybody has their own unique idea and flavor. Across the entire college, we all have a different perspective on what we need on a day-to-day basis. And this IT governance committee provides a bit of a gelling area for those ideas to be presented and for us to identify if we have redundancies, if we have different faculty trying to solve the same problem in a different way. It gives us the ability to weigh and measure different solutions and make sure that they're efficient, appropriate, and we can afford them, that they fall within the guidelines of privacy laws and we don't end up getting ourselves into trouble in some way.
That's right. So what are some of the most recent improvements or upgrades that have made the biggest difference for students and employees?
So as you mentioned, we've brought the Hackspace online. There's significant improvement in some of the labs that we've deployed there. Some very, very good machines in the design space. We're constantly replacing machines across the college. So we've been very aggressive this year in getting refreshed hardware in front of all the folks who need it on a day-to-day basis. There are people who that's their life for 8 hours a day, and it needs to work and it needs to be smooth and powerful. And we've expanded Wi-Fi. We've increased the power of the Wi-Fi solutions at multiple locations. So that I think that's a huge impact for folks. They can walk around and not have to worry about how quick their page is downloading on their laptop or if their whatever streaming service is dropping off of their device. Another huge thing that we've got recently is we did a OneDrive migration for all of our employees. So formerly they stored their files on a local server and they had to connect back to the college with VPN if they're working somewhere offsite. Well, we've migrated everybody into the Microsoft Cloud for those files, and so now they can travel across the world basically and still be and still be able to operate on their laptop and not have challenges getting connected to their files and getting access to all those resources. It's a really huge deal for everybody.
It really is. Okay, so AI is kind of one of the big things in the world of technology. Certainly, at the college, we have a strategic initiative to be an AI-driven innovative institution in the next 3-4 years. What does that look like for you? And where do you see the most promising uses with AI?
So AI is already transforming the way we do work on a daily basis. We're constantly exploring the various tools and measuring and weighing whether one tool versus another is most appropriate for our environment. Our biggest initiative right now is Microsoft's Copilot because it's built into the components that we use already. These things are a game changer for most folks. We can leverage learning. We can one of the best things that I like about it is we can use it for developing clean documentation, for making our documentation more accessible. And there's some amazing things that it can do for scripting and hardware and equipment programming that, in my opinion, you shouldn't replace the human insight. You shouldn't replace the human function. It just amplifies it.
It's a tool.
It is absolutely a tool. And we have to be super cautious with privacy laws and some of the things because sometimes AI digs a little deeper than we want it to. And so we have to be very careful to constrain it in the right ways and make sure people are using the data correctly so that we don't end up asking, private questions to some AI out in the world that doesn't necessarily keep your information private. So we have to be super, super cautious about that.
So how do you, I mean, from a standpoint of it's been around for a long time, and in fact, we were being AI'd before we even knew we were being AI'd, right?
Absolutely.
Is that correct? So as we think about how fast do you think the proliferation of this is going to happen, just as a professional in this world?
I think that in the corporate environment, it's going to progress a little slower, but out in the world where people adopt technologies more aggressively, it's going to rage like a fire. I think it's going to be in every product, whether you realize it or not. Most companies at this point are developing some sort of AI integration on the back end of their product, and they don't, simple grammar editing tools or spell check tools. Now, instead of weighing it against the dictionary, they're weighing it against an AI, and so I think that's going to continue at the rate that we've seen, and I think it's going to be huge. I mean, so it's one of those situations you have to adopt and adapt. And learn how to use it in your world as best that you can, and to take advantage of that.
So what can WSU Tech and the broader community, how can we best support your team moving forward?
So for us, it's communication. It's, we provide services, we provide hardware. Share the feedback. If we're doing great things, spectacular. Let us know. If something isn't going well, okay, we can fix it. Let us know. With the vendors that are out in the community, we work with them very closely. We're managing multiple construction projects at any given time, and so we get the great opportunity to present solutions and provide that feedback loop of what's working well, what's not working so well, and I think that's the best that we can do, is just to continuously be in communication with folks so that we know what they need from us, what they would expect. And then we can best provide those solutions or guide those solutions in the best way possible to.
So I know you've been working on the biomed, which is in itself a humongous building, just huge. Just the concrete in the building can create a sidewalk from Wichita to McPherson that's 4 inches deep.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's amazing,
Yep.
right? And the number of fiber and electrical and all that. And I know you've been working on a working group for that. How exciting is that? How challenging is it? What are all the feels that you get from being included in that kind of a project?
It is extremely exciting because we know that this is the first of its kind, and the collaboration between the major players, KU, WSU Tech, it's huge. I mean, we're pooling all of those resources, all of those knowledge bases together in one space. It's going to provide an absolutely amazing service to the community, and it's a huge construction project. And so I'm a guy who likes to build things, and so just being involved with that at the ground level, planning the location of the fiber, planning the location of network, electrical, battery systems, it's amazing. And the collaboration between the different colleges and universities, it's a unique challenge that we've not experienced before, because it's communicating across the table much more collaboratively, to not overuse that word, but we're constantly giving and taking on what we think we need and what they need, and in some cases it's who's going to step up and handle this particular problem. It's one of the challenge of if everybody owns it, then nobody owns it. So you have to make sure that we're getting that accountability and getting that who's best to solve the problem to step forward and handle it. So
it is an incredible project, and I'm super glad that you're on it. One last question: when you came to WSU Tech in 2016, I guess we were WATC at that time.
we were.
Did you ever imagine that you'd be overseeing something so huge?
Not at the time, no. It was a much smaller network then. We had, the locations individually were smaller. 47th Street South Side campus was where I operated from quite a bit back in those days. And, the day-to-day operation was a much smaller scope. And so now it's humbling to look at the size of the project, the number of endpoints, the number of sheer people we're going to be supporting on any given day. And, I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Well, I really want to thank you for all that you do. I said you and your team are unsung heroes. We get in a habit as end users of just taking for granted all the things that we have available to us and how everything works. We need to recognize and understand there is a tremendous team of people that you lead that are the backbone of all of that. And so I appreciate all that you do. You guys put in tremendous hours and have tremendous knowledge and insight, and you keep us secure, and you continue to grow what we're doing. And I can't thank you and your team enough for all that you do.
Hey, we're happy to do it.
Thank you for tuning in to Tech Talk with WSU Tech. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And until next time, stay connected and keep exploring the incredible work happening here at WSU Tech.